If you've ever followed a forum on the best place to position a life raft on a boat, you'll understand that it's a very contentious issue. But I think one thing we can all agree on is the place not to put a life raft is the bottom of a locker, which is where our valet's life raft was when we first bought the boat.
Sinking and we were in the middle of the ocean. If no one had done it already, I would probably get the life raft down and grab the grab bag.
If the boat was sinking, I'll probably get as much water as I can from under there, and then I would open up the life raft.
First I'll get the grab bag, then I'll get like loads of bottles of water, get some entertaining stuff, so and then I would make sure everybody's near the life raft. Then I'll get the life raft out. Then check if there's any fish. If there wasn't, I would get the grab bag ready.
The thing with life rafts is they're probably the most expensive piece of equipment that you will never ever use. But with having 3 kids on board and a wife who was a former RNLI crew member, obviously safety is a priority on board. So that was something we weren't willing to compromise on. But we were lucky enough to come across a charter company who had over-ordered on some life rafts, and they just so happened to have a Viking 8-man offshore life raft, which was exactly what we wanted. The only problem was it was a canister life raft and we didn't have any mounts on board. But we've seen some fantastic quick release mechanisms for mounting canister life rafts on the transom. The problem is we already had the dinghy, the 2 outboards and the solar arch on there. The weight of a life raft is quite substantial, so we wanted to balance the weight out across the boat to keep the trim nice and straight. So we figured the best place to do it was midships because it's easy access, it's the highest point of the boat. So I guess the next question was really how are we going to mount it midships, because there was no mounting platform there was nowhere to mount it, and there was no obvious attachment points. Like most people, I don't like using self-tapping screws in the deck anyway. So basically we had to get underneath and work out how to attach a backing plate so we could through bolt it onto the deck. So having ripped the headlining down, I still couldn't find my way into the cavity, so there was only one thing for it really, and that was to cut a big hole in the ply. Never a comfortable DIY moment for any boat owner, but it had to be done. I still wasn't entirely sure what was in the cavity. I mean, there could have been conduits there, could have been filled with foam or balsa. I just had no idea. So it was a bit of a leap of faith, based on nothing more than intuition. So inevitably when you're on dock and you're making some DIY noises, it attracts the neighbours. And our good friend Peter Babbage from Sacre Bleu came round to see what we're up to and to lend a hand. Peter and Anne were long-term cruisers, and they gave us no end of really good useful tips and advice when we were neighbours in Lefkas. That's what I love about the liveaboard community. Everybody's got such a can-do attitude and is willing to help out with advice or practical help. It's like the good old days, if those days ever really existed, I don't know. But as it turned out, it was a cavity space, which was just what I was hoping to find, because then I could get the backing plate up underneath the fiberglass deck to get a really good grip on that mount.
What are you doing, Woody?
The mount to put the cradle on for the life raft.
How big's the life raft?
It's a deck-mounted Viking 8-man life raft. We'll come along away now. Another thing I learned quite early on in the boat maintenance game was if you've got kids living on board, you really have to keep them briefed in what you're doing, because their unrelenting curiosity means you get constantly bombarded with questions every time you're trying to do a job. So I've worked out the best way to satisfy that curiosity is really to talk them through the job in the first place, so they know exactly what you're doing. And recess them in the wood, okay, so it lies flat on the deck. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put some bolts through here to match up with those ones there. So initially I was going to fiberglass the cutout back in place, but then I thought that was going to restrict my access to the backing plate again if I ever needed to in the future. So instead what I did was glue tabs on each corner and screwed the cutout back in place, so that gave a nice clean surface to reinstate the headliner afterwards.
All right, five minutes.
And then finally glue the headlining back in place with some lino glue, which I'd used before in jobs when making wet rooms, where I used to glue linoleum onto wet room ceilings. Obviously the biggest challenge with gluing anything to a ceiling is getting enough pressure behind it while the glue sets. But when you're living on a boat, you realise that no problem is unsurmountable and you have to find a way around it. So luckily I had a length of ply which was thin enough to bend and then put pressure on the ceiling. And then finally it was just a matter of fixing the battens back in place. So the life raft's in place, we through bolted it through the outer skin, and now just putting everything back. So obviously it helps having a supportive wife who trusts your judgment in this sort of things.
You're very practical, aren't you?
Thanks, babe. Mostly.
I think we need to put more coats on this though.
So that would give a nice clean surface to reinstate so that would give a nice clean surface. Aha. The thing about having the life raft,
Why is that filming?
So thanks for watching. Please give us a thumbs up, a like, click on the notification bell and subscribe. To comment, just pop over to our Facebook page, because unfortunately YouTube is still blocking our comments. Nothing we can do about that. And while you are over in the Facebook page, if you could give that page a like as well, we'd be most grateful. And it goes without saying, thanks to our patrons who support us in everything we do, from the production costs to advice. And it's great to be able to bounce ideas off you guys and poll you on things that we do. If you'd like to become a patron and share in our journey on a more personal level, it's very easy. Just click on the link here or in the description on any of the videos, and that'll take you to the Patreon website, where you just follow the instructions. Thanks for watching.
And if you want to do